Hi everybody, I'm Ryan. Today we're going to talk about the layout of Magic the Gathering games. Where you place your creatures, where you place your artifacts, where you place your lands. And do you put your lands in front of all of these things? Now, throughout Magic's recent history, this has been a point of contention among players. In fact, a lot of players kind of defining their Magic personality being lands in front. And it isn't just defining what personality you are. Some do it because it's more comfortable for them. Some do it because they think it's cool. Some people do it because somebody they respect does it. But did you know in the official WPN tournament rules, in 4.7 game layout, it states that players in competitive and professional rules enforcement level matches must arrange their cards, tokens, and other accessories on the battlefield using the following layout. From the player's perspective, non-lands must be kept closer to the player's opponent than lands, and no non-land cards should be between the land area and the edge of the table closest to the player. This essentially states, in more words than it needs to be, that you're not allowed to play your lands in front in a competitive or professional setting. Now, in my experience, this is rarely enforced. And to be fair, players rarely play like this anyway. But why does this rule exist? And I want to kind of talk about why this rule exists. So when a rule like this originally went into place, it was just on coverage. And this was so long ago, maybe 7-8 years ago, because it was really difficult to watch, and it was kind of annoying to watch when like cards weren't placed in the same spot between matches. And so they made it so that if you're on camera, you can't put your lands in front of your non-lands. And okay, that makes sense. But then this rule was introduced. So why is this rule introduced? I think it's for a few reasons. Number one, I think they're trying to reduce like the mind game aspect of Magic, where you do things weird or place things weird and it can throw your opponent off. I mean, I've been the victim of that sometimes, definitely. Maybe not necessarily lands in front, but like the very slight like Magic Arena tap. I've been a victim of thinking cards are untapped sometimes, or the exile pile being under the graveyard or something crazy like that. But I think they're trying to like make things a little bit more uniform so that mind game aspect, just making things weird for the sake of making things weird, isn't really like a thing. Number two, very often when you're interacting with your opponent's cards, they are non-lands. Now, there are definitely cards that interact with lands, but they are really few and far between. Most of the time, when you're lining up blockers, for example, it's really good in paper to be able to place your cards in front of blockers. And if you have to reach across your opponent's lands to do that, that can cause some stuff to mess up. That can make you brush against certain cards. It's really annoying to like put your cards so far across the table. It can be a dexterity thing sometimes. It's just like really annoying to play against. As well as when you target things, very often it's non-lands, having to like motion for cards way across the table can be a lot more difficult. And third, I think it can make game actions a lot clearer, right? When you have to reach across your lands, it's really obvious when you're doing something with your non-land cards. Like if you're equipping something or attacking or rearranging, you have to reach across your lands. It's easy to see somebody do that. You can pay attention to what they're doing. Where the motion of like lands in front of spells is, you know, you tap your mana, or sometimes things don't cost anything, and you just kind of place it down from your hand just very, very close to your hand. You know, it's the same situation, I feel like, when somebody's graveyard is super, super close to them. Like, I feel like I have to watch them to make sure they don't pick something up from their graveyard or something stupid like that. In any case, I think those are the reasons this rule exists, and it's a really interesting rule. Now, I am not a lands in front of spells type of person, as you might have already guessed, but if you are, why do you play lands in front of spells? And do you get away with it in competitive events? And even if you're not a lands in front of spells person, do you agree with this rule of being forced to play with cards in a certain way? Because one of the beauties of Magic is there are very few rules on where your cards have to be, especially compared to other card games. Let me know in the comments. If you like these videos, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.